allocate the campus of no licensed premises and 3 students were assaulted by police officers, one of which is the chief of police that's here today, and nothing happens to those fucking assaulters. How about we talk about that?
So let me see if we can address that. And let me address that. Okay. First of all, the question was, how do we allow people like that to come on campus? Okay, let me finish. I'll listen to you, let me finish. The answer to the question is, this is a public university. The answer to the question is that everybody has a right to be able to come onto campus of a public university to express their space.
But ideas from these that come onto our campus and saw our students, and then what happens to the students who speak government? Administration is the one who puts us and takes us into meetings to tell us that we're not acting right, that we're not putting a good face to UC Irvine. Please tell me how that keeps us students safe and how does that keep our right to free speech safe on this campus as well.
So what I would say is, as I continue, that even in the context of public discourse, everybody has a right to be on campus.
Doesn't mean that right how the students should feel violent.
It doesn't.
Are you using the right to not giving students to exist? You are not.
I think, right, the best I would say about that is that that's an uninformed position. Right.
So undocumented students that they either get nothing or they get all the way down there at about 5 to 6.
You rejected the state.
So let me say this, so let me just do a personal point of order. The questions you raised, I think, are interesting questions. I'll be glad to entertain and glad to address. But this particular forum, I want to be careful that we don't get into the posture of you disrupting this forum, that then brings a different level of scrutiny. So I would be glad to create a time and place for each of you to come. Let me ask, in fact.
No, that's not going to happen because I, as a student, I have to
Let me
I'm trying to set up meetings with management, with administration, with human resources. They said, if a UCI student is present, we are going to cancel this.
Let me say this.
3 meetings. And you invited us to campus.
Let me say this to you. There's an ad in the newspaper every week, that invites you to come in and talk with me as Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, right? Every week, where I have unsolicited and unscheduled hours for you to be able to drop in. I've not seen you once, not
I
once.
met with your chief of staff and I actually here because
You
you want to know
have,
about the
right.
Well, and I met with them. I said, you might not need been met. No, we don't care about your indigenous students. We're such a small population on your campus. I met with your chief of staff. I've had those meetings. Nothing has come out of them. I've got a lot of students who fight against what administration says, who we fight against what's happening in our communities. When we come and talk to you and we try and bring up our problems, you sit there, you listen, but what happens? Nothing comes out of these meetings at all.
All I can say is that I'm sorry you feel that way. I think the record is
Shame.
Let me say this. The forum that we are in now is different than that. So what I'll be glad to do is to set up a separate forum to meet with all of these students,
I'm here right now.
collectively. But not in this, what you cannot do is disrupt this forum, because that brings a different level of scrutiny. So what I'm gonna ask you to do is to respect the process that we have here and allow these panelists to address the questions that we're gonna ask them within the context of this fierce urgency of now. And I will be glad.
You're afraid of scrutiny.
How do we even know how to respect that process when the process doesn't respect us?
So I'm gonna give the first one about, right, what you are doing now is disrupting this forum. Right? That's the first one. I will be glad to meet with you, right, at a time we can set up, and we'll invite everybody to come. I'll invite you to give your name. Our Dean of Students forum.
Your forum is a disruption in and of itself, my nigga.
Ooh.
That's the second one.
May I Dr. Moran, as a student?
Go for it.
I just want each and every one of you to know, you have valid concerns. And we coming into this meeting tonight to talk about those signs that are being made, and your own frustration, and events that have occurred, it's important important. It's important that we talk about these things. It's important that we have these discourses. It's important that we're able to, and clearly, make sure that we have understanding here what I'm saying, that we're able to clearly, and even in frustration, express our disappointment. I can relate to some of the things I'm hearing in this room, even as a new student here at UCF. But what I want to make sure is that in what we're going through and all the issues that we're dealing with, not just for ourselves, but for others that we might know, that our argument doesn't get shut down because of our approach.
Okay, let me.
Just one second. I want you guys to understand that there are issues going on here. There are issues that are going on with students that are not being heard, and there are issues that are going on that might even feel are being sometimes as well. And I'm one of the students, I would say, that has been dealing with the issues recently on campus where I have been communicating with some people, and I have felt like I've been ignored. But for us to be effective, I want this to be understood, for us to be effective in this type of environment, even to have people that stand by our side. I don't like the BS. I don't like respectability politics. I like to get things done just as much as you. But we have to remember that we have to, as students, also in a respectful manner, when we're being taught and when things aren't necessarily working our way, there's a better way. We can do better. We can do better.
We have a Zionist on the panel who advocates for
Okay, let me-
That's okay.
Don't let him speak because he's on your side.
I'm not.
Every other person will get it.
He's not on any side. Let me say this
We
though.
have to do things more respectfully, and we have to, this is not the forum for this. We have to do better. And you know what?
Students have tried to have
We're going to spend the closing comments, especially with our community that's so tight, and none of our voices are ever going to get heard. So like the only thing that's going to help us is being able to disrupt words like this, so we know that everybody here can tell. Our meetings have been so effective, we're so angry, we're so hurt, we're so abused by the damn system that we have to be in places like this and make sure our voices are heard. Even though it means that we make administration look like an embarrassment. We don't need any meetings to put in these terms. No, I'm not the one. Are you here with any of us who actually close to unity?
This is good.
Okay, let
You know
me-
what? This is good because of the fact that I hear the frustration.
We're not even talking right now.
I'm just saying, as a student, that is with you other students.
You know what's going on.
We can do better for them. Respect the students.
Okay, let me say, my brother. Let me say thank you.
No, we can let our administration do better.
Let me thank everybody for their opinion. I would be glad at a different forum to be able to address each of the concerns that you have laid out. I would be glad to address your concerns at a different forum. But at this point, what we are going to do is continue with this particular program. Right? And so I'm going to invite you, if you have questions, to be patient while we get through our panelists. There'll be Q&A that we'll be glad to address about this urgency of now. I'll be glad to do that. And as a separate form, please make sure that my dear students have your name. Let me put your hand up on me, please. That's for me and Celeste right there. These are assistant vice chairman. And I'll be glad to set up. I will be glad to set up.
This is not community unity. It is not.
What I'm gonna do is continue with this forum and invite you, right, to come back and talk with me personally. I will set up the time to make sure that I'm available for you to address each of the concerns that you laid out.
Do you realize that these are student leaders here who
I
are
do.
meeting with you?
I do
They're
recognize.
meeting with you, and you have a panel of people who aren't students. We are students who have concerns, and this is the time to talk about the concerns that we have. We need unrest. There's an unrest on this campus that we're trying to talk about, and you don't want to talk about it. You don't need to be talking to these people who have power about issues that may be changed in this campus. You need to be talking to us. So you need to move them and talk to us. You need to
Okay, so
listen.
what we're gonna do is continue with this
This is
forum.
going to continue to be interrupted if you listen to students.
So I want to be clear that what you're telling me is that you are interrupting this forum. Yes?
I'm saying that I'm engaging.
Because, no, you are not engaging in this forum. What you are doing, And I want to be clear that you are interrupting this forum.
So who's part of your community then? It's just you.
All of the students are part of this community. And I'll be glad to address your issues at a different space and time. It is not in this particular forum.
Just put it on the show so everybody can.
You have
look good. This is performative. You don't care about what the students actually care about.
But you know what, young man, you don't know what I care about.
Well, we don't
Let me say, I'm gonna invite everybody who has an issue. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to stay and participate in the forum. If you are not, what I want you to be careful about, this is the second, and I'm giving you a third warning, that what you are doing is disrupting this forum. What I'm doing is inviting you to remember that you are disrupting this forum.
We are engaging in this forum, which is our right as students. We pay fees for you to have this new narrative. So we're paying you to have this new narrative. The narrative that we want to talk about is you helping us.
And if you want community feeling, it starts with the community. This is the community, not these people. Like, we are on the campus every single day. Like, we know what affects us. Like, you gotta listen to them who don't experience these issues.
You gotta listen to the police who's actually causing those issues upon us.
So,
People on the panel should be listening to us. They should be in the audience. We should be up there talking, not them.
I'd like to make one comment, just unilaterally. One of the mistakes that was made in the 1960s was this kind of division, not ability to understand that there's a broad community here. Everyone has a role to play. If we are going to resist successfully to create a more just society, we've got to begin to understand how to talk with each other and understand that everyone has a role to play in the resistance. Everyone.
Well, honestly, we know that, and I mean, look at the amount of students you have right here. Look
And
at our
you-
different growing in the different communities that we belong to. Obviously, we know how to organize ourselves to build community, because if we didn't build community, we wouldn't have had the power people coming here together to be able to tell you what's affecting us right now.
I'm very proud of you. But
Oh, we don't need to be proud of us.
He's giving you the floor. He's giving you the
I
floor.
think the issue is we're speaking from different frames of reference, from different frames of, we're speaking from very different frameworks.
that's correct.
So you're talking about like resistance, but resistance implicates, you know what I mean? And it doesn't, you're acting as if this university is gonna help us with resistance, when this university is the antithesis of resistance. Like, everything I've ever done to resist anything the university has ever done, I have got fired from my job, I have gotten stopped, I have gotten talked to by administrators, I have had trouble with grades because teachers have said some crazy grade stuff in class. There's a lot of things involved with that, and we're speaking from different references because you're bastardizing the meaning of resistance, because you're saying resistance is within this bullshit ass thing that we're in right now. You're saying resistance is within this. And it really isn't. Resistance is saying, fuck this, you know, fuck the police, whoever the fuck you invited over here, you know what I mean? And then listen to us. Listen to what we're saying, listen to you. And we're not just talking out of our ass. Like, we're smart as fuck. You know what I mean? We read books and we know shit. We know statistics. Stop talking about that. Be stupid up in here, man. I'm not dumb. And none of these motherfuckers up here is dumb either. Y'all are stupid for acting like we don't know shit. When we read it all the time, what y'all be doing us.
what I said before, I'll say again. I will be delighted to meet with you on address all these issues on a time that is different than this particular forum. What you are engaging in now is something that is disrupting this forum.
Questions the students have to say, educated, we're here for tonight, and if you want to expand on those, that'd be great.
I'm gonna thank you.
Well, I wanted to invite you to stay, because I want to listen to you at the end of our session as well. This session is just one session, one workshop, one idea. It's not the end all and the beginning of all. This is a way the university functions. We talk with each other. We talk with each other. We don't yell at each other. So please stay. But I have some things to say to you that I think are important about our struggle.
I would invite you to stay as well. I will be glad to address we want to make sure any student who wants to write to provide their name, I'll be glad to invite them to a separate form to meet with them, right on top of that, okay?
I want to learn from you. I
Right.
really do.
Yeah, we can continue. We're talking about the fierce urgency now. We want to welcome to the stage Emeritus Vice Chancellor Manuel Gomez, Rabbi Peter Levy. And my dear friend,
So if
Allison.
you're seeing at UCI that this is a hot and tumble land, UC Irvine, this extended library dollar, but you know what? Where did that money go? Whose land does this really belong to? Because when you try to look at the history of how UC Irvine got this land, you won't find it on the damn Google. So never the name of whose land this is, because that's damn important when you're trying to erase the history of my people.
Yes. And we'll be back to this struggle until we get access.
And read the CSU demands.
Thanks for your time.
Let me continue with the forum. And the third person I want to introduce is a dear friend from way back in the day. Allison, nice to see you.